Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Lasham Daily Briefing for Wednesday, the 14th of January, 2026. Start off with the synoptic here, midnight last night. You can see that cold front having moved through. That was what was leading to quite a lot of that wet and windy weather at times yesterday, leaving some clear air with slack ice bars behind it and a fairly weak low to the south there. By midday today, this system out to the west has moved quite a lot closer to us. And that low is no longer showing when we're looking at these up to the north and out to the west. Another gap with relatively slack isobars again. However, a warm front here that was approaching from the south. We can expect fairly typical warm front conditions there with increasing top cover throughout the day. Probably quite quickly starting to see some lower level cloud and possibly some rain by the afternoon into the early evening. By midnight, you can see some of those occlusions from the west have gone over head to mainland UK and into tomorrow quite messy with a low centered in the channel there. It's much the same with a lot more unsettled weather in the next few days to come. But today, looking at the sat pic, clear in our area at the moment with some cloud to the northwest and a thin line where that warm front is sitting or certainly approaching from, and we can just about see that out the window starting to approach from the south coast. Rain-wise, nothing of any significance, certainly at the moment. And on the prediction, you can see that band from the south expecting to work its way in by mid-afternoon and into the early evening, with then being met overnight by the rain from the west associated with that occlusion. The Odium TAF quite extensively there, showing us with light southeasterly wind there, 3 knots, 140 degrees, a little bit of mist and poor visibility with few cloud initially. That's with a little bit of mist that they've got going on at the moment. With possibility of fog as well this morning, but that's becoming broken at 500 feet between 1 and 4 o'clock this afternoon, and then reducing visibility later into the afternoon with some drizzle light to begin with, increasing in its intensity, and the cloud lowering again. Not particularly optimistic, but I think that's possibly getting that a little bit early. I think we'll have a window certainly before any of that arrives. Farnborough, they're showing wind variable at 3 knots with 300 meters of viz and 3 freezing fog. So there's definitely a little bit of fog over that way as well as at Odium. Becoming greater than 10 kilometers with no significant weather scattered at 1,500 feet. And that's from 9 o'clock until 11 o'clock. And then between 11 and 2, 40 degrees, 10 knots. And then from 2 o'clock onwards, starting to see a reduction of visibility with some light drizzle and a lowering cloud base before it's down more or less on the deck by about 5 o'clock. So certainly a window to be had this morning before a deterioration, probably just after lunch. Winds aloft to the south, it's 130, 170, so about 10 knots. That's coming around to the west with height. And to the north, 210, so southwesterly, about 15 knots. On the ground here, by midday, we can see a light southeasterly flow across the airfield there, and it is very light in terms of strength. Looking at the local Met Office forecast there, only 3 or 4 knots, sort of peaking after the poor weather comes in. But yes, somewhere between 3 and 4 knots with gusts up to 10 as the maximum. And quite high humidity, 95 to begin with, reducing but still remaining in the mid to high 80s throughout. Temperature around possibly 4 or 5 degrees with a dew point of 1. And we're presently at 0.6, or a negative 0.6, I should say, for air temperature, and the negative 2.3 dew point. That was the webcam on the south side about 15 minutes ago. Like, you can see a little bit of mist forming there and radiation fog. Just refresh that now. You can see it's more or less burning off, hints in places. Very, very light winds, but slightly from the east. The Skyset cross section showing that lower level stuff initially not clearing at all really until about 12 o'clock. I don't think that we need to worry about that. So that's already disproved. But then showing later on some rain as well as that higher cloud from the approaching warm front. Nothing significant as far as NOTAMs are concerned. So we will move on to the local brief glided bookings to begin with. It's four K21s on for booked flying this morning, one K13 on the casual list, and a K13 for trial lessons. There is some single seater availability and five on the casual list with no instructors. If anyone's around and wants to do a little bit of help this morning, that'd be much appreciated. This simulator is available as normal, should be required later on today. And we do have one movement. It's the attempt to get the Airbus from yesterday back in. It's at 11:07 schedule. It's in A320, and that's coming in from Gatwick. In summary, with low pressure to the north with a warm front approaching from the south, bringing thickening cloud with a reducing base throughout the day. We can expect a light southeasterly flow with that will operate runway 09 with partial wind drops certainly launching off the runway, but full wind drops pending a grass inspection, so that'll be launching and landing on the runway, and that's to be confirmed. Either way, we'll have the cables on the south side. As always, do not land or taxi across the disused runways shown there in red if we do happen to use the grass. And there's our provisional airfield setup. The traditional sense winching off the hard south side, aerotoning from the north, and landing on the grass behind, potentially setting the launch point a bit further forwards and landing the gliders behind as well, but that will depend on the condition of the grass. That's all for me this morning. We'll see you out there shortly. Let's get what we can out of today and keep it safe. Thank you very much.